Hello and welcome. It's Monday the 26th of September and this is my last vlog of the month. I shall just dive straight in with some of the questions being asked. So Joan from New York: why is there so much fuss in the UK about fracking? We have it in the States. It's a good source of gas. Right, there is I will admit, a lot of concern in the UK, but the most concern is about the cost of energy. And fracking, or its sort of official title, is actually a hydraulic fracture. And it's the process is it uses high pressure liquids to shatter rocks and rock formations, and they're again then able to extract gas. That seems straightforward enough. But fracking companies in the UK have said that it's not viable, and mainly because our geology is not the same as it is in the States or other parts of the world, and so there are small pockets of gas to be got at. But it is a very expensive process, and so therefore very little profit will be made, and it most certainly will not reduce the cost of the energy costs that the public and small businesses have to sort of cover. There were also concerns about the tons of methane that are released during the process. And of course, most people know that methane is more toxic than carbon dioxide. There are also, in other parts of the world, including America, where fracking has taken place, there are reports of more frequent earthquakes and landslides. And to be honest, it was because of this, these concerns, that the government originally banned fracking. But now they've introduced fracking, but on a personal basis, I just don't think that businesses will want to invest in the UK fracking process. I hope that answers that. Lucy from Manchester: since the government's mini budget on Friday, the value of the British pound has plummeted. Are the government wrong? Well, I can't say whether they're right or wrong. I don't understand their thinking most of the time. What I will say is I did at school study economics, so I have a basic understanding of economics and what things affect inflation, etc. But the ideology that's being brought forward with our new Prime Minister, Liz Truss, and her cohorts is what's being called the trickle-down economic ideology. And by trickle down, basically the thought is, if wealthier people are made more wealthy, they will then invest in companies and create more employment, and therefore increase productivity in the UK. In practice, over the last 40 or 50 years, it's never worked. Margaret Thatcher, along with Ronald Reagan in America, had the same ideology, and it just didn't work. And they tried to disguise that by introducing other policies to try and disguise the fact that it was a failure. So why this government wants to try and reintroduce it, I'm not sure, to be honest. But I think the problem is our new Prime Minister keeps on quoting Margaret Thatcher, and she thinks of herself very much as a follower of Margaret Thatcher, but many think that she just is not Margaret Thatcher. After all, whether you liked Margaret Thatcher or not, you have to accept that she was quite a formidable person. So the political thinking in the UK at the moment is a little muddled. So, for example, the trade unions are being bashed because they're trying to encourage anything that will increase the wages of their members. But it's not their members, it's all the workforce. Because the problem we got in the UK is certain members of the community, which is most of them, now just cannot afford energy bills, and we're even hearing they can't even put food on the table. And so people are crying out for higher wage rises, and the government cries foul because they say if we increase wages, that'll have an inflationary impact. But then I ask, why is it not considered an inflationary impact by giving more money to the wealthy? So that doesn't really stack up as far as I'm concerned. But as the old saying goes, answers on a postcard, please. Right. Here we go. Who was that? That was Lucy. I've lost trail now. But that's it. So that's two quite serious things I've spoken about recently. But I'm going to try and bring a bit of humour to the situation. I'm in the process of trying to get a new car, and I placed an order, and everything was going fine until they pressed the button to say go, and my application failed. And it failed because my name on my supporting documents was not the same name as on my driving licence. And by not the same name, it's just that DVLA, which is the UK driving authority, when they produce my driving licence, they are unable to include the hyphen or the dash, whichever word you want to use. But of course all my other documentation, including my passport, has a hyphen. And the system that has been set up so you can buy your car, apparently, all the documents have to marry up. And because they didn't marry up, I got a computer says no. And then when you look into it, there's no sort of override system, because this is quite a common sense situation. You would have thought somebody should be able to go in and just rectify the situation. But no, there's no override, which means the programmers have failed. They've not thought things through. So I've had to go through the process of getting one or two of my documents to remove my hyphen. Tony refers to it as a hyphenectomy. But anyway, so the car is now ordered and everything is fine. But as I said, it shows that there's no sort of full thinking of any policy or any programming, and that sort of highlights what's going on in politics as well. At the moment, our government are sort of having a knee-jerk reaction rather than sitting down, taking a deep breath and thinking things through. And we are experiencing, and at the moment having, very bad experiences of policies that haven't been thought through, and so they haven't really taken into any consideration of what their consequences might be. Well, there we go. I shall now hyphen off, and I'll speak to you at the next vlog. Until then, toodle pip.